Okay, without any further ado, we're going to move on to our other comedians. Our first comedian for the night, his name is Fraser. He's from Nigeria. He's wonderful, and if he was a prince, I would give him all my money. So come up, Fraser.
Let's give a round of applause for the DJ for that excellent song, and for the audience for clapping for my walking in song. You can do better than this. A bigger round of applause for the DJ. I'm saying this because I know the DJ personally, and all right, so my name is Seisu, and I'm going to try and make you laugh for the next couple of minutes. And like I always say, this is a two-way road. I'll try my best to be funny, and you have to laugh. If for some reason I say something and you don't laugh, it's not because I'm not funny. Your problems are bigger than my joke, and it's on you. After over a year of keeping an afro, I finally got sick of it and went to the barber and took it off. And this is the most amazing thing that happened. So I'm at the barber shop, I sit down, and as soon as he shaves off the first lock, every TV screen in the place goes, "Breaking news!" But then it's not about me, of course. The breaking news was China voted for their president to be president for life. And that day, I mean, wouldn't have been a big deal anywhere, but that day, we had all these political science type people from Education City at the barber shop, and they just got into this big argument. The American guy was like, "That ain't right, that ain't right. You can't use democracy to remove democracy." And the North Korean guy went to the opposite stance immediately, and he was like, "It's all right. They agree to use their freedom to remove freedom." Now, I was just laughing throughout this entire thing. They said, "Why am I laughing?" I said, voting a president for life, that's an African move. China is using a product that's made in Africa. By this time, the barber was done. And despite his best efforts, I looked really, really funny. Not because the barber shaved my head funny, but because my head-to-body ratio is such that with a shaved head, I looked exactly like a bottle of Nivea roll-on. Needless to say, I wasn't happy with that look. I really wasn't happy. But there was nothing I could do. It's either, I can't stick the hair back on my head. So it's either I start wearing a wig or I lose weight. Now, I'm not talking about that kind of drastic losing weight that you don't recognize yourself anymore. Just enough that there's a clear demarcation between my neck, shoulders, and waist, right? But I'm lazy to go to the gym. I don't have the discipline to diet. Fortunately, at that time, my wife got a new puppy. So I took it upon myself to walk the dog twice a day as my weight loss exercise. Walking a puppy is the best way to know who is in your compound. I made friends with this adorable little 3-year-old girl. She is so sweet. I'm not gonna use her real name tonight for my show because she's named after her mom, who might be watching this and know who I'm talking about. But I'll just give you a hint. Her name starts with Ha and ends with Anna. So let's just call her Havana. Havana asked me, "Will the doggy eat me?" And I was like, "No, he doesn't eat little girls." Now, she took this to mean that the dog eats little boys. So she turns to the mean boys in the compound and says, "They better start being nice, otherwise the dog is her friend and it's gonna eat them." One of the boys, who was clearly the genius of the group, was like, "He's bigger than this dog. Obviously, there's no way that the dog can eat him." And I shamelessly jumped into the 3-year-old children's argument. I was like, "He's gonna grow, just watch and see. And when he does, you better be afraid." Now, what I didn't realize is that this is one of those GMO dogs that when it's born, it grows for a few days, and then it stops growing and spends the rest of its life looking like a puppy. Right? There was no way this hobbit was ever going to get to a size that would intimidate this little boy. But Havana took me at my word, and she goes out there every day throwing 3-year-old shade at the boys, because one day Pikachu is going to grow up and come and eat them. I am so worried about disappointing her. I've started showing the dog Navy SEALs training videos and the Kung Fu Panda movies, so that when that day comes, hopefully, he'll be able to do something. I also spend my time avoiding Havana and her mom, who's also named Havana. Now, another side effect of shaving my head is that people start confusing me for somebody else, for some reason. I was at the Cheesecake Factory, and all the waitresses kept coming up to take selfies with me. Apparently, they thought I was Idris Elba. Now, I was trying to argue that no, Idris Elba is really tall and I'm not, but to be fair, the waitresses were Filipino, so everybody in the world is really tall. And they just were looking at me like I wasn't making sense. Now, honestly, I was so flattered to be mistaken for Idris Elba, I decided to roll with it and see how far I could ride this. What I started doing was I'll just walk up to an expensive club, I'll get to the door, then I'll put on this ridiculous, fake British accent. I'll be like, hello there, love. Name's Idris Elba. I had a bit of a layover on my way to London, and so I decided to see the town and just see what's up in Doha. Mind if I pop into this club for a bit and see this here fine establishment? And somehow, I'm able to pull it off. They let me in. There's this one club where the bouncer was like, no, you cannot be Idris. You are too short. And I was like, I know I look short right now, but I'm actually in character of a role I'm playing in a new movie. You see, I'm playing a hobbit that is a dog that is learning kung fu so he can defend this little girl from some boys that are trying to bully her. And he was like, they're making Beast of No Nation Part 2. Enter. And so I get into the club, but this is what I learned. With great Idris Elba impersonation comes great responsibility. They had me doing everything there was to do in that club. I was taking selfies, signing autographs, dancing, buying drinks for people. At one point, they had me DJing. Any pictures you've seen online of Idris Elba DJing in a Doha club, I was so overworked that in 30 minutes, I was tired. My life bar was on 10%. I was in this midst of this group of ladies just like shuffling, I wasn't really dancing, when I saw the most frightening thing. This heavily pregnant woman was in the crowd, dancing, gyrating, vibrating, and working her way towards me. And then she got up to me and she's like, yo! And I'm like, because I don't want her stomach to hit me. Then her baby comes out deformed and they say it's my fault. And then when she noticed what I was doing, she now looks at me and she says something, and men, have you ever had this experience where you're talking to a woman and her voice is more masculine than yours? She was like, why don't you want to dance with me? And then I looked and realized, oh, it's not a woman, it's a man. One of those fine boy-faced men with a ponytail and a pot belly. I was so shocked at this flip of events that I was like, hello there, love. Name's Idris Elba. Had a bit of a layover on way to London, so I decided to stop in the club and just check out what's going on in Doha for a bit. I would have loved to dance with you, but the DJ just announced the final boarding call for my flight, so I've got to dash. And then I got out of that club and ran home. Now I avoid the baller lifestyle. I spend my time with more domestic type activities like home decoration and yoga. I went to IKEA by myself. Is it me, or has anybody else noticed that IKEA likes to hold people hostage? Yes. Okay, so it's not just me. I went in to buy a lint brush. Several hours later, I was frustrated, desperate, hungry. I could not find the lint brush section or the exit. What started off as, excuse me, where's the lint-brush section? Became a beg, please, please, where's the exit? I'm not doing it again. Let me just go home now, please. And that's when I started looking at the faces of the other people in the store. And I noticed something. The women seemed right at home, you know? They're walking around, looking at the furniture, looking at the home decor stuff. They had this look like they're in the right place. But every single man had the same look of frustration and desperation on his face that I did. We were all looking for the exit. And so I'm there looking for help from people that are also looking for help. When I see this one guy just walking through the store, calm, collected, you know, he's touching the fabric, he's looking at things. This was that 1 in a million man, you know, the chosen one. I was so amazed at what I was seeing. I went closer and then he turned around and I saw he was an employee of the store. And so I walk over to him and I'm like, excuse me, please, where's the exit? And the guy looks over at me and he leans over and whispers, brother, I'm looking for the exit myself. But, he said, no, I don't work here. I'm a customer like you. I came here, I got lost. I've been lost for so long, all my clothes wore out. They gave me an employee uniform to start wearing. And that's IKEA's employment strategy. What they do is they walk around, look for anybody that has given up hope of ever leaving the store. Then they give that person a job. Because tell me, why would a furniture store have 2 restaurants, a coffee bar, sell groceries, have real homes with beds, showers, and working televisions? Those guys intend on keeping you for a long time. So I asked this guy, like, how long have you been here? And he started giving me all this information. He says his name is Ugo. He doesn't know how long he's been here, but he came May 2015 with his pregnant wife. They were shopping for a baby crib. He stopped to read one of those Swedish meatball posters that they have all over the place. And when he looked up, his wife was gone and he was lost. So he's just been roaming around all over the place. And so I decided, though I approached Ugo for help, I was going to help him. I was going to be the bigger man. I pulled out my phone to make my first Facebook Live video, so that maybe somebody that's watching the video that knows this guy will be able to tell his wife and they'll be able to save him. I started the video, I'm like, Ugo, come, let's give a shout out to your wife. Maybe somebody knows her. What's her name? And the guy bursts into tears and he's like, oh, Havana, Havana, I'm still alive. Please, Havana, come and rescue me. And I look at him and I'm emotionally confused. First, because for the first time in my life, I'm using Facebook to do something positive, but also because I have a very strong suspicion that this guy doesn't realize that he has a 3-year-old daughter out there that's counting on my homunculus of a dog to rescue her from the bullies. Thank you.
Thank you, Fraser.